approval of minutes.
I read the minutes, when they sent this online, didn't see anything problem, so I'll make a motion to approve.
I also viewed it online,
Okay, Mary made the motion, seconded by Steve. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Miss? Okay, we have, the minutes. Okay, claims. Thank you. County General, $143,478.86. Court System, $3,706.80. Highway Department, $34,059.96. Sheriff's Department, $25,191.17. ACH, $29,669.19. CAW, $4,600.43. CAW two, $1,671.19. Thank you. Court cost, $534,980.34. Property tax, Clint and Circus, $1,653.21. Payroll for November the 6th, 2020, $328,955.08. Anything else? That's it.
having reviewed the claims before the meeting, I make a motion to pay the claims.
Motion has been made by Steve, seconded by Mary. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 2-0, 3-0, I'm sorry. Okay, we've got the monthly,
Clerk's report.
yeah,
I did view it.
I also viewed it.
yes, I did too.
John, we have anybody on Zoom?
Tammy, Debbie, Sherry, conference room, who are you looking for?
Just want to make sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
We all need them. We all need them, Chris.
No, you're not.
EMS line on,
We didn't have any of this.
okay. Let's go to old business, City of Princeton, water project.
All right, thank you guys for having the City of Princeton on the agenda tonight. I'm here on behalf of the city and the city council. We have, we're here tonight to request another additional additional TIF request for our water project. Just a quick history, we have a $1 million part of that water project on Seminary Street completed. We're looking at about another 3.3 total for phase 2, 3, and 4 for the water project. Earlier this year, the commissioners committed for TIF funds of $1.2 million as a kind of a match for our grant application for EDA. We have worked with Debbie Bennett Steersman in the coalition, Economic Development Coalition out of Evansville. Historically, they have given the county and the city in the last probably 15 years about $35 million in grant projects. So we're working with the best that there is around. So at this point, we're kind of in the middle of our application process. We are hearing pretty good news about what's going to happen. I know economically this region hasn't suffered quite as bad as some other ones during this COVID crisis. EDA, of course, is Economic Development Administration, and they help during what they call disaster relief. So this, the entire state is kind of in that process. So our ask tonight, I guess you would say, and I have our engineer here, Eric Parsley from Commonwealth Engineers, and our ask tonight would be another additional 1.5 towards our match, or I'm sorry, it is whether or not the grant is approved or not. So at that point, if the grant is not approved, we want to make sure this project goes on. So if we do get good news about the grant, this 1.5, of course, will not be given back, but our progress or our ask will then be off the table. So tonight, what we are requesting is that the commissioners pass on the redevelopment $1.5 million TIF request for the City of Princeton Seminary Water Project. If you have any questions, I know Debbie's on the line.
So you're saying that if you receive the grant and it is, you won't use this?
Correct. We will still use the 1.2 that was committed earlier in the
Right.
spring.
But
That was our match of that.
With the situation that the state's in, they're saying that it probably, Debbie is saying that probably won't get approved without having this additional match.
You know, I know Debbie could probably speak on that a little better, but we do feel pretty good about it. But
Is Debbie on the line?
I'm here, Gerald. So you were asking, so the way I'm understanding it right now, we have an application into EDA where the 1.2 million was used as match for the total projects, phases 2, 3, 4. We have had a first feedback from the Chicago Regional Office of EDA. They have encouraged us to go ahead and submit the final application, which is going in this week. And thank you to everybody that helped get that application together. And I think the mayor's just asking that if for some reason this application would not be funded because they're using CARES Act funding, which will probably go away at the end of the year with EDA, he wants to have a resource to fall back on just in case it's not funded. Is that correct, Mayor?
that's correct. And Debbie, touch on a little bit about some of the subsidiaries that we do supply water to, and Eric can chime in on that also, that they are subsidiaries that supply our major manufacturer here in the county.
So what I have in the application listed is there are 15 potential industries or commercial businesses in the area that's going to be serviced. And it comes close to 9,500 jobs retained just at that area with this line being completed.
So what that means that there be, Toyota is affected with getting a water line to that water tower and then feeding these companies.
Correct. Yeah, Toyota's not a customer of the City of Princeton proper, but a lot of subsidiaries are, so they depend on them greatly. So, you know, we've talked about that since this project began. It's a major artery, runs right down through the center of town. It supplies a major water tower south of town. All the logistics, Eric can probably tell you about that, chime in a little bit.
The only thing I would maybe add to that is we're talking roughly 280,000, close to 300,000 gallons of water a month that feed these subsidiaries. So if we were to lose water, and they've had some issues with this line, obviously given the age that it is, it would have a very heavy impact on those businesses.
Debbie, a question on the grants. Were there two different possibilities of grant funding here, or just the one total?
So when things first started, there was some disaster appropriation from EDA still available from 2018 and 19, and Gibson County was included. That was flooding, and that money went pretty quickly. That was a 90-10, and that's what we were originally looking at doing back when we discussed all this in, I think, June maybe. That money EDA appropriated first because it was older money, and now we're at CARES funding, which is still could be 90-10, but the EDA representatives encouraged us to do 80-20. They said it would be more competitive and probably more fundable. So we're looking at 80-20 right now on the application.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Okay.
Well, I know on this, because we went through it before, and the last thing we want to have to do is have a major water breakdown and eliminate all these businesses and be able to operate at all because they would have no water. And so I'll make a motion that we approve to, send this request to the redevelopment for tip money.
And the motion's been made.
And a contingency if they get the grant.
Right.
That are however much they get in the grant, there's a possibility the two ag crews would be, not be used. It would be, returned.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Steve seconded. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, 3-0.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your help, Debbie.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is that it, Mayor?
I think so, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Mayor, could I?
Kay said we skipped one. I had the old copy. It's Weaver Bowes contract.
Yes, Captain Commissioners, in July 8th, 2020, around that time, that's on the contract, whatever the meeting was following that, we signed a contract with Weaver Brothers Consultants, they're the ones that do our monitoring of the landfill. And since July, we found a discrepancy in what should have been listed in the tables for their services. We actually do 2 groundwater sampling and recordings per year, calendar year, or not calendar year, per year from June to July, or July to June. We had a 1 in there, which does not allow both of those to be covered. So I've got a revised contract adding that other sampling event in. That's an additional $3,700. It took our original yearly contract, $13,500, at $17,200. There's just a discrepancy in when they put together the table. So I look back when they did a 4-year deal, we signed a yearly contract, 4 years, and it was correct. It was just a typographical error that sets up the numbers. So I'm just asking that we sign this new contract with all the numbers included.
And there is money in the budget next year, cover that.
I move to approve the recommendation of.
Motion is made by Steve.
I'll second.
Mary seconds it. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, 3-0. Thanks, Matt. Board of Zoning Appeals appointment.
Okay, the commissioners had one more seat to put on, commonly known as the BZA. And, I will make a motion to appoint Tony Wolf to that position.
I'll second that motion.
The motion been made by Mary, seconded by Steve. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, 3-0. Okay, we'll go to new business, LEPC plan, Stephanie.
I emailed this to you guys some time ago. I didn't, there's no changes.
It's a long time read.
There's no changes from last year, but if you guys want to look at it, and I do have an extra copy for you. So,
This is the local emergency planning committee hazardous materials response guidelines.
When do you need it passed by? You need it passed
end of
tonight,
November,
end of December,
no, November.
November?
Preferably, you just need to sign it.
Yeah, I mean, we've had that, I have looked through
This
it,
is the one
I,
that's enforced now.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'll move to accept.
I'll second.
there was no changes in
I mean,
it.
I looked through it, and I've been in the meeting, so,
The motion's been made by Steve, seconded by Mary. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, ayes have it, 3-0. The 2021 holiday schedule. Just schedule of the holidays for all the employees of the county.
Courts are wanting those because they're already set dates in the next year.
Court systems agreed to them, okay,
yeah, they have set their calendars already, so.
okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the holiday calendar.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion been made by Mary, seconded by, Steve. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Opposed, ayes have it, 3-0. Major medical leave. We have 2 of them.
Everything seems to be in order, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion been made by Mary,
I'll second.
seconded by Steve. There will not be any discussion. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Opposed, ayes have it, 3-0. Sheriff Tim Bottoms, County Road 1000 South.
Up at the veterans ceremony last week, I was approached by one of the veterans about the road between Daywig Meets there in Hopstock, which is 1000 South, which goes west from town.
John?
Oh. That's the one that goes straight west.
Straight west
From
from
Daywig
Daywig Meets,
Meets.
yes.
Okay.
What were cross streets again?
Pardon?
What were cross streets again?
1000 South, 25 West.
Okay.
Daywig Meets is here. It's the 1000 right here.
Thank you.
Anyway, it goes west from Daywig Meets out to the intersection, four-way stop there by Hunter's Crossing, that housing addition. And the gentleman said it has some problems with speeding. There's a lot of times of the meeting or throughout the day where there's people out walking, ladies out walking, pushing strollers and stuff. And wanted to see if we could get a speed limit put up out through there. I guess from the four-way stop on west has been posted at 30. So,
We did that a month ago.
yeah. So I had an officer go out there and look with the housing subdivision, or whatever you call it, and the number of homes on the road. There's a couple of hills. There's a farm on the road, which you'll have farm equipment. So with everything that he looked at out there, he recommended 30 miles an hour.
30 miles. Okay.
I'll make a motion, we follow the recommendation of the sheriff's department.
Okay, Steve makes the motion.
Okay.
Mary seconds it. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Opposed, ayes have it, 3-0. Matt, can you relay that to Chuck?
Man, I've got a copy.
Thank you, Tim. Business Communication Services, contract court,
It should be courthouse on that.
courthouse security.
Right, sorry about that.
Hey, good evening. I'm Andrew Beitler with BCS, Business Communication Solutions. We are seeking contract approval for the courthouse security solution. Anybody want a copy of all of these?
Yes.
We've been working with multiple departments, including the EMA, the sheriff, the judges, on getting that courthouse secured entry. Courthouse secured entry approved over the last year. We came up with a comprehensive solution, which includes camera equipment, access control entry on the doors, security alarm, along with the screening equipment that's necessary for the entry, with the turnstiles and the monitors as well. During our conversations with EMA, it was suggested that we add some emergency paging to the courthouse along with upgrading the fire alarm. In all of this work, we really need to upgrade the data cabling so we can have a nice clean installation throughout the courthouse. Right now, there's a lot of wires and cables hanging loosely. We've negotiated project pricing with many different vendors to provide a comprehensive solution and for all these systems to operate efficiently. And it's also a modular design where additional cameras and access control throughout the county could be added to the head-end systems. And I can add to that if needed to. The courthouse security entrance is a state mandated requirement for 2021. And BCS, we're approaching 2021 already. BCS really needs to get started sooner than later to meet those dates. So,
Is Terry Hedges available? Terry?
Well, I've been in on most of these
Oh,
meetings,
well,
and, no, Terry's fine.
Well, I've got another question.
Oh,
Go ahead.
And, you know, with the judges and, everything, and, you know, from the last council meeting, you know, we're gonna, you know, have to move forward with this, but my feeling right now, and not that I wanna put you on hold or anything, believe you me, we love working on the, I don't wanna sign this until the council sees it. I mean, the judges have told them, you're gonna have to do this, but
Who's
I'm
paying?
tired of them getting mad at me.
Who's paying?
Well, that's where I
County.
talked to the
County.
EMA director,
Yeah.
because he said he.
We think some of it might be able to be done, but we don't know. Terry, the Harry Lee,
I'd say let's table it until, our next meeting, so we can talk.
I think there's at least pieces of this that can be, that do qualify for CARES.
okay, it was presented to council last week.
Yeah,
They have seen the numbers. So.
they have seen the numbers?
Yes.
Okay,
What was
well,
their response?
There was no response.
Yeah. There was no decision. They know,
Yeah.
Judge Mead made it very apparent that these.
yes. Oh, I agree, and I don't have a problem. Like I said, I've been through this from the very beginning, well, the many years ago,
Yeah.
beginnings to now. And, but I want a response from them, so they're not jumping down our throats again.
Okay,
So I guess that'd be, unless they put it on the special meeting, it could be before their meeting in December.
okay. Do we need to
But
reach
I don't
out?
have a problem with that. I mean, I guess we can make a motion contingent on approval from the council.
No, I want to,
Okay.
let's put it on the next meeting, table it to the next meeting.
That motion?
I want to talk to Terry.
Yeah, make a motion to table this. Well, it have to be,
I'll make the motion that we table.
well, but I don't know when we can bring it back. I mean, we're supposed to have a special meeting, but it's not on the agenda as of yet. We need to check about that. So it could possibly be our second meeting in
Okay.
December.
We'll follow up as well. So
Okay.
thank you for the consideration.
Motion on the floor, I made the motion,
I'll second.
Mary seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor of table? Indicate saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, 3-0. Okay, Commissioner's Building, it's been, because of the mandate coming down from the state, we would like to close the Commissioner Building, and you have appointment only of anybody. All you have to do is call, get an appointment, call the department that you need. This is due to the COVID.
And the prosecutor's office is agreeable to that as well, is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, they have closed down
And EMS.
offices completely.
EMS and EMA all are. And generally minded that they don't have. I mean, the courthouse, we have a screening and everything else, we have a system set up, so that everybody can get into the courts, et cetera. But we just don't have any means to do that down here.
And she's almost saying that everybody will work in this building, except the days that they have. Addiction day or something like that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you say.
I said, these offices still will be fully manned though.
Yes, yes.
I just wanted to clarify that.
No, yeah, no, the offices will be fully manned. Just if you need to see somebody in person, you just need to call and make an appointment.
Highway department also.
Oh, highway department?
You have your own, the courthouse has their own, so we're only doing this building at this time.
In this building.
Okay, Mary, did you make a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion to do so.
Second.
Seconded by Steve. Any more discussion? All in favor, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, ayes have it, 3-0. Did anybody else come to address the board? Yes, ma'am. Yeah. State your name and the subject.
Okay, my name is Jeannie Bard from rural Owensville, and I want to speak to the COVID and the mask issue and part of the governor's new.
Yeah, you was here last 2 meetings
Right,
and,
and I ate tonight, so I'm hungry.
good. What in addition do you want to add?
Well, first of all, I think we ought to think about what the updates are. In October, our total COVID cases was about 450 for the entire month. November, so far,
Here's our number.
we have 460 approximately.
475.
475 now, okay. And since our last meeting, 2 weeks ago, I think there's been approximately 360 additional ones.
That's statewide.
No, that's
No,
Gibson County.
Gibson County,
These
okay.
are all Gibson.
You didn't say, I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, yes, these are all Gibson County. Now, another thing, I think we need to think about is hospitals are becoming under duress, and in the Health District 10, which includes, I think, 10 counties here in southwestern Indiana, there are currently, I think, about 235 people hospitalized. And we are down to, according to the Indiana State Department of Health dashboard this morning, we were down to about 18% of our ICU beds left, which would be about 33 for 10 counties. And ventilators are pretty good, but I think 76-something%. But ventilators are not used as much as they were last spring. They have other protocols that they use and medications and things, so they don't have to use as many of the ventilators. So ventilators look in pretty good shape, and I heard somebody talking, and I have a friend whose daughter is an administrator at a hospital in East Central Indiana. They have the room, but the problem is when they expand into other areas, they don't have the personnel to support those extra ICU rooms. So it's really taking a toll on having enough, nurses, doctors, et cetera, to support the COVID cases. Now, currently, the governor has now backed off his stage 5 and instituted something that goes with the color-coded map. Gibson County is currently at orange and a 2.0. I foresee that going up next week because things are just skyrocketing. Also, the governor said at his last press conference, there would be $20 million allocated to the counties to help with this. And I will ask you to address that later. You know, how many dollars, how are those allocated? How many dollars will Gibson County get and how will they be used? Now, all pandemics come to an end, and I talked about this last time, that they either by a higher standard of living or a non-pharmaceutical way. And the cheapest and best practices way is wearing a mask, social distancing, and hand washing. Pretty easy things and very inexpensive to do. Now, the Spanish flu ended without a vaccine, and we're fortunate enough that I heard another that we've got 2 vaccines that are imminent, and that would be great. But those vaccines for the average person to get the vaccine, it may be another 9 to 12 months. And in the meantime, we'll still need to have masks, social distancing, and hand hygiene. Now, the Spanish flu came to an end in happened in 1918. But 50 million people worldwide lost their lives. 50 million people. And a third of the world's population was probably infected. Now, the population in 1918 of the world was only about 1.8 billion. Now it's about 7.8 billion, which is about 4 times, over 4 times, maybe 4.5 times more. So think, you know, if 50 million people lost their lives and a third of the population of the world was infected, think what those numbers would be today. Now we as individuals cannot defeat this COVID enemy. There's no way individually we can do that. Just as we wouldn't send an individual here and an individual there out to meet an invading army. We wouldn't do that. It would be just leaving the lambs to slaughter, I think. That's why we have a trained military. And what we need is an educated or training for people to learn about wearing a mask and wearing it correctly, social distancing, and hand washing. And then we can go against this COVID enemy. We won't, until we get the vaccine, I don't think we're going to overcome it, but we can stem the tide. And economically, that makes sense. I read an article that said if 15% more people wore a mask, 15% more in the United States, it would probably prevent a loss of $1 trillion in GDP. Now, you know, $1 here, and I guess it ends up being real money, like $1 trillion. I can't even fathom that, but just with 15% more of the people. So if we'd even got more, so, you know, that trickles down, it comes down, that would help Gibson County as well. Now, the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, and the MLB all have done variations of social bubbles. The NBA had a very strict social bubble. Those guys didn't see their families for weeks and weeks and weeks. But because they were in this strict social bubble, they tested daily. They had the last 7 or 8 weeks of the season, they had no COVID. And it wasn't necessarily the testing that prevented that. The testing showed they were doing things right. When they did have early on, had some COVID and they tested, they had good contact tracing. Now I know the Gibson County Health Department as well as the Indiana State Health Department have mentioned that they are not getting the participation with the contact tracing. People are reluctant to either answer their phone or share who they've been with. And that just sets us back again. So now the MLB, NHL, and NFL have had more COVID, but they have a good testing program and a good contact tracing because they haven't done that really strict bubble that the NBA did. So I think we need to think about that. Now, maybe what we need is more education. Maybe that would be maybe even to go hand in hand with some kind of enforcement. Now, the handout that I gave commissioners last week is a start. And then good news this past week was the possibility of, we did think it was, if I had COVID and I was wearing a mask, I was protecting everyone else around me. Now they said they found some evidence that if you're wearing a mask, that is kind of protecting the virus from coming in. So not as great as if you've got the COVID and you're preventing that spread, but that's something we need to think about too. So everybody wearing a mask just increases things. So anyway, maybe those are all things that need to be included in some kind of education campaign. The print media has done a good job every week. There's something on COVID daily. The Clarion has things in about what the increase is for not only Gibson County, surrounding counties, and the state. But we may need to do more. I see people also handling the mask, and I've caught myself at times reaching up. But if you happen to have droplets of COVID on it, you touch your mask, and then you take that mask off, stuff it in your pocket, and then you touch your face, and it's aerosol spread, so it just goes right up your nose, in your mouth, eyes, and even be a source. So that's another thing people need to take into effect. Now, a lot of guys, especially I see, love to wear gaiters, and I understand why. They're easy to pull up, whatever. But they're very ineffective unless they are multiplied. They have to have several layers. Just think of a rubber band. When you stretch out a rubber band, the hole gets bigger, and a lot of the gaiters are stretchy material. So when you pull that apart, it opens up the little gaps in the weave, and it allows those bigger particles of virus to get through. So I saw online today where there were some places that are starting to sell gaiters that have more layers. And so that might be something to take care of. Now, another question I have is about if I go into a store and I see somebody without a mask, what should I do? Should I, number one, I probably won't go back, but should I contact the manager? Should I say something to the person that's not wearing the mask? What's the, prudent thing to do? And, should I bring it to someone's attention, or should I just bring it to the person's attention myself? Okay, then back to the original questions, those original questions I mentioned. How is this $20 million that the governor spoke about going to be allocated to the counties? How much will Gibson County get, and how will Gibson County use that money? Okay.
I would refer you to the EMA director who is responsible for allocating those funds. It's Terry Hedges.
Yes. Okay, do you know?
Commissioner Bottoms, this is Debbie. Could I speak for a minute?
Sure, Deb.
Okay, so the 20 million that was mentioned in Holcomb's speech the other day has not been allocated. It is supposed to be applied for. We are not certain if it's in grant funding or what. And we are watching, and as soon as we know, we are going to be contacting the commissioners on how to apply and how it can be spent.
Okay, that was what I wondered, because I looked around and was unable to find any place where it said how this was gonna be distributed.
It is not in the executive order and it is not online yet. It was just mentioned in his speech.
Okay, thank you, that answered one.
You're welcome.
In the last 2 weeks, I have got calls, and I probably had 4 or 5 where people wanted, college kids not to come home to their families for Thanksgiving. I have got calls where families should not have Thanksgiving dinner with anybody outside the household. I mean, I could name 20 or 25 different calls and each one of them is a personal note. It's what families want to do for this virus going around. It is not something that this board is going to mandate that you can't have a Thanksgiving dinner. We're not going to mandate that your kids can't come home from college. And every one of these items that yes, it's a very serious thing, but it's not something a commissioner is going to mandate in this county. So I think it's to the individuals of trying to put this on themselves, and they make their own decisions for their own family, and how far do they want to go to help society in Gibson County. Now, yes, I know you probably want us to do that, but I know I don't feel like I'm going to tell families how to run.
I haven't mentioned family.
Please let me talk. And so I can't see us trying to rule individuals in the county to make decisions for their own families. The calls, the people are very serious when they call me, and I'm very serious in taking the information. But right now, the governor has taken this same point of view, that it's up to the individuals to start helping the other people around them. And, you know, that's the word that he's putting out, and I'm not going to change here at the county on my level.
I think the governor also added on to businesses now. Didn't he say that businesses should have signage?
I don't know, that is the health director that keeps track of that, and she works for the state, with the state, so, but as far as the commissioners are concerned, we're not gonna put something out that tells families what to do on Thanksgiving.
And I don't think I mentioned families at any point.
No, but I did, I was
I
telling
know
about
you did.
the
but I don't
people
think
that
I
called
did.
me.
They do have recommendations that all businesses have signage up, and I give that to the press,
Okay.
the new signage, and we are also taking it out to businesses when we do inspections, so if they don't have a sign up. But as to your question related to what you should do if you go into business, please contact the manager of the store.
Okay.
That's who we will contact, and then you can let us know, we put these people on a list,
Okay.
and we try to go out. And then if we get numerous complaints from a certain business, the excise men will be going and pulling license. Like if they have, a liquor license, they can pull their liquor license. And we can adjust according to the food license. But, just like your general merchandise stores, we don't have a license that they have to have, so it's hard for us to.
Yeah, that's what I also wondered. I saw where the excise, so I figured that had to do with liquor.
Yep. So anybody that has a liquor
So
license.
your food, their liquor, and then everybody else is just whatever.
But what I would recommend to the public is if you are concerned about a business that is not wearing masks or not mandating masks, don't go in there.
Yeah.
Because if enough people don't go to that business, their bottom line's gonna suffer, and then they'll start putting their masks on. So if you see a business that is not wearing their mask, we ask that you not go in.
Yeah, and like I said, I probably wouldn't go back if I went in and saw that. And I went into a store, and it's a huge store, easily, you know, just social distance and everything, and then I see 2 people, I think it was a mother and a teenager, not wearing masks.
You can have that
So-
discussion with the nurse after the meeting. Okay. So, yeah, Mr. Waters is waiting, I think.
Go ahead, Paul.
Paul Waters with Dixon County Economic Development Corporation. Just wanted to give you a final update on the $250,000 grant that was applied for through Okra. The final documentation was sent in by the Southwestern Indiana Economic Coalition today. There were 47 businesses that did qualify and were approved in the county. And the money should be coming back to the auditor's office within 7 to 14 days. At that point, the auditor's office has 5 business days to send out the money to the businesses, and they are prepared to do that. The amount of money was changed right at the very last, and again, it is right around $5,200 that will go to each one of those 47 businesses. May not sound like a lot, but it helps those businesses tremendously. And so just want to give you a final update on that.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, Paul, and you mentioned that, so Debbie's on the Zoom call, and of course, her and her crew is the one that, as you mentioned, gained that money for us through the Economic Development Coalition of Southwest Indiana.
They did, they put a lot of hard work into doing it.
And you did too, again, Tammy did too.
She would like to address the.
Yes.
board.
State your name.
My name is Deborah Walker. I'm owner of Walker's Hometown Store in Princeton, Indiana. The whole reason I'm here is because I've watched a couple of the commissioners' meetings, and I saw where there was a couple different times that somebody was requesting along the lines of what she's talking about, the mandates for the masks in regular businesses, not just the restaurants being fined. Am I incorrect with that?
That's, they're the only ones that can control that, the health department.
I know, but do you have control over anything other than the restaurants?
No, I don't.
Okay. I was confused then, because that's the whole reason I came, because I thought they were trying to make it where we would be fined as a regular business, no food at all.
It's strictly food and.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, what yours is, yeah.
Right. I don't live in my story. I have a 6,000 square foot showroom floor and there's never 10 to 15 people in my store at one time, that we can't observe social distancing. And there are times in there that we don't have masks on. If we have to get close, more than 6 foot to somebody, I will put my mask on. But I just wanted to make sure that we weren't gonna try to mandate something that was gonna affect small businesses
Right.
in any way whatsoever, because we struggle enough now as it is. Let alone, if we have to put a sign on our door that states, you've gotta wear a mask in this store, then, in my store, one customer, turning away one customer says, oh, then fine, I'm not gonna go in there. That can make or break my month, okay? So I just wanted to emphasize that please don't let this happen to businesses that aren't restaurants.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. I made the motion, Steve, all in favor. Thank you for everybody for coming.
Gerald?